Hey guys, Mega Man NG here, and before I say anything, this review is going to be a little short. Why? Because 1, I'm not feeling good, 2, I apologize if it's very late, and 3, I've been quite busy. So I'm going to be going through this review as much as I can, and with as little time to waste as possible. So I hope you enjoy it regardless, because this week's episode of Gotham was interesting, though I had found a bit of flaws, which I will be explaining. As always, with every review, I will be providing my thoughts on the plot, not to mention my favorite moments and my least favorite moments along with the overall verdict. And also, there will be spoilers, so if you do not want to be spoiled for this week's episode, watch the episode where you can, then watch the review, okay? So, this week's episode is Scarification, and coming off after the events of last week, man, it's nuts, really is. So let's get started. First and foremost, let's talk about the plot. And the plot is basically threefold. Why? You'll see. The first bit is that Gordon and his team at GCPD are cracking down many of Penguin's organizations, all for the sole purpose of stopping the Penguin. And unfortunately, it's had an effect on the Penguin, which is driving him insane. It's driving him nuts. Though, this is going to lead up into the second plot. Cobblepot, as I mentioned, has been going nuts, having to deal with not only the GCPD, but also Theo Gallivan, who has his mother hostage. And that is bad news. Really is bad, because when you take someone important away like their mom, they get crazy. And they do things that people would not normally do. But let's be honest, the Penguin's a bad guy, and he's done a lot of bad things. So, you pretty much get the point. Anyway, Penguin meets up with Theo's sister regarding a new job. And it's arson, but not before he receives something that would prove to be beneficial within the assignment. So, Butch, Penguin's #1 guy, meets up with Selina hoping to find help to do it. And that's where the Pike brothers come in. Selina allows them to help with the Pike brothers for a price. And what the price is? Money, of course. So, after paying, they meet with the Pike brothers, and they offer to aid the Penguin. But the sister has doubts. The Pike brothers do accept the job regardless, but the sister's a different case because she's having doubts about going through it. Which led to one important moment when they said that if the sister would not do it, she would no longer be part of family. But in the end, she had no choice. There was also another plot, which was pretty minor. It is basically, Nigma now has the girl, which was pretty nice. And there was a moment where they had dinner with Gordon and his girl. It was pretty good. It was pretty nice. It helped balance things out with the seriousness of the episode. It was minor at best, but it was alright. And at the same time, around that, the Pike brothers have their sister commit a robbery, only to have her leg be burned. And because of the burn, it motivated her to make a suit to prevent any future burns. Now, what I did like about the episode was that it built up the conscious idea for Firefly. And you know, Firefly is a villain in the DC universe, especially in the Batman universe. Firefly is a pyromaniac, and basically armed with a flamethrower wants to burn anything and everything that's in his way, committing arson wherever he goes. He's a crazy nut. However, the twist was that Firefly in this was a she, and that surprised me. However, I do have a legitimate complaint about it, which I will explain later. So anyway, the lady, the sister to the Pike brothers, turns this Firefly and goes on the attack when the GCPD show up. Gordon confronts her, only for one of their own men to be killed, in which was Garrett. And although, as much as I didn't like how he died, the way how he did it was just bleh. Not to mention, really? How he died was messed up. Did anybody even care? Because personally, he should not have been there. He shouldn't have been there, and if he didn't, he would have still been alive. So, once that whole thing out of the way, after obtaining the knife, of course, the Penguin learns about the truth behind the knife, about a history, an ancient rivalry that spanned 200 years between the Waynes and the Dumas, and how the Waynes were able to drive Dumas away from history, from Gotham, and they were ordered to change their names to becoming the Galvins. Now, this was a big shock because I had no idea about this. I know I heard that Gotham is planning to add the Court of Owls to the story, but hearing this adds a lot more weight to the history of Gotham City as well as the two families, the Galvins and the Waynes. but I had no idea their rivalry would last that long. That is sad. It reminds me of how the Capulets and the Montagues did their rivalry in Romeo and Juliet. It was like a blood feud. Or rather, it was like a family feud, but who knows? So, after learning about the truth behind the knife, Penguin tells Butch about his plan, hoping to not only save his mother, but also use Theo's emotions to his advantage. Since Theo is motivated by revenge against the Waynes and Gotham, I believe the Penguin would be able to use this to his advantage, as I already mentioned. Like, be able to manipulate Theo so that way he can use it to his own liking. And I like that because the Penguin's pretty clever. Although you guys know that Theo is a smart man. Theo's smart and he's willing to do anything and everything to make sure everything goes his way. Although how he was able to use Butch to pull it off was just scary. I'm not going to talk about it. You just have to watch the episode for yourself. So yeah, apologies if the plot is very crisscross because like I said, it's really late where I want to get this review in. I have a lot of stuff to do and yeah, I've been quite busy. So now let's move on to some of our favorite moments. Now, there have been a few favorite moments. I'll just list 3 since that's all I could find in the episode. Penguin. Penguin, of course, was one of the favorite things I love about the episode because even though he can be kind of a crazy nut, the guy is smart. He always has this plan up his sleeves, hoping that he could be able to do what is necessary. In this case, being able to find a way to save his mother, which, as you already know, Theo has his mom hostage. And it's not a good thing. Though I really do like it, although the ending were, I'm not going to say it, but the ending just scared me. Not only that, but the history of an old ancient knife that bear the Wayne family crest and the history behind it was very informative. It was really good. And it actually provided motivation for Gallivan. It serves as Theo's motivation because he wants revenge on the Wayne family for silencing them and driving them away from Gotham. It was too good. It was too good. I really did enjoy it. Not to mention the idea of Firefly. To think that Firefly in this series, for this series only, since it's set in an alternate universe, is a woman, I like it. However, I find her to be not as impressive because she seems afraid. She seems too nervous. She seems too scared of not wanting to do it, hoping not to anger her brothers. But what can you do? She has no choice. Plus, the impulse of having someone killed was just like a spark. And that spark kicked in, and wouldn't you know it, she's gone nuts. However, regarding this is going to lead to my least favorite moment. The idea that many of the villains throughout the series are either kids or teenagers. And I begin to wonder, what is up with Gotham all of a sudden? Seriously. Why have them be kids or teenagers instead of adults? We know Theo is one of the villains in the series, and he's a villain in his own right, but having characters like Selina and Firefly, or like, what was it, the Pike's sister? I forgot her name. Having them be like villains? I don't really know, and that's something I don't understand. Although the only exception to that is Jerome, and Jerome is a villain. Even though he is a teenager, he really is terrifying, so he gets a pass. But like I said, the idea of villains being kids or kids/teenagers really does turn me off somewhat. Also, Garrett's death. I mean, seriously, do we even care that Garrett died? Because he should have known better not to get involved. He should have known better not to get close to the Firefly, the woman in the costume. And like, why? I mean, seriously, the way how he died was just messed up. And personally, I didn't want him to die because at least this guy was sort of like a really good person. He really wanted to do what was best for the city of Gotham, but having him die off like that was just sad. Just to build like plot development, man, not good. Yeah. That's about it for this review. Now we move on to our final verdict. As I said before, I apologize if the commentary that you're hearing is rather crisscrossy. Yeah, because it's really late and I really wanted to get this done before I move on to the next review regarding The Flash. And that one's going to be a field day for me. As always, all scores for this week's reviews are opinionated. So if you're free to disagree with me, you can. Or rather, if you don't like it, you're welcome to disagree with it. Final verdict for Scarification, or rather final score, is a 7 out of 10. It's a good episode, but it's held back by some flaws. I like the idea of Firefly. I really do enjoy the history of the rivalry between the Gallavins and the Waynes. And Penguin being his evil self is always such a highlight. Of course, having the villains be like kids or kids/teenagers, not to mention Garrett's death, really kind of turned me off. And it really did. But what can you do, right? What can you do? It's set in an alternate universe, so it's not like going to affect continuity, right? Not to mention, we won't be seeing the last of this woman / Firefly. She's going to be appearing in next week's episode, and if you guys saw the preview for it, yeah, it's going to get burning up. So that's it for this week's review. Like I said, I apologize, and if you enjoyed this, please be sure to hit the like button. It does mean a lot to me. And hopefully next week I'll do a much better job with my reviews, because honestly I'm getting a little off track, but sometimes when you have whatever notes you can find about your feelings about the episode and it's unscripted, what can you do? Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace out.